Hi friends, it's Carly and I'm back again with another review. I think a lot of you will be glad to know that I am back on Marvel Legends again, and today I will be looking at the Iron Man 2020 Walgreens exclusive figure. So for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know, and just for a little bit of background for those who haven't, I have really had trouble finding a 112 Iron Man that I'm happy with. I have two Iron Man figures from the Marvel Legends line, the Mark 85 and the Endgame Iron Man, and both of those just felt way too flat for me. There are so many issues with the way that they're constructing these, in my opinion, and they just never seem to add up to what I feel like such an iconic character should have as a figure. So I put it to my audience and they started recommending Iron Man figures for me to pick up, the first of which was a Diamond Select 7-inch figure, which still didn't really meet the mark for me. He did have a really nice metallic paint finish, but being 7 inches, he didn't really fit into my collection, and his articulation was off, so he was really more of a statue figure than a highly articulate 112 like I was looking for. All of that said, when the Iron Man 2020 was released, I got it for two reasons. One, I thought it would be a great installment in this continued series of mine trying to find a good 112 Iron Man. And number two, because I have a really big interest in how Walgreens deals with their exclusives. It always seems to be problematic, to put it nicely, to put it most simply and directly, the way that they handle their exclusives. There's a lot of trouble in getting your hands on them. They seem to not come out on release dates or be available online for pre-order when they're supposed to be, and then months later, sometimes 6 or 9 months later, just hundreds of them will appear everywhere. And it's been a problem for me in my collecting in the past, and I anticipated it being a problem this time, but I actually got lucky and was able to find this guy on the shelf after about a week after his release. So we are going to take a look at Iron Man 2020. We're going to continue my Finding a Good Iron Man series, and I think you guys are going to be really surprised by what we find today. So let's look at the figure overall. We'll just take a once over of his entire look, and we'll talk a little bit about the character, which I will say I was not familiar with Arno Stark before I started researching for this video. And so I went ahead and picked up the digital version of the Iron Man 2020 collection on Amazon for my Kindle, and I got it for $12, you guys. So if you haven't read this series, I definitely recommend that you pick it up because it's affordable and it's been a pretty good read so far. I will say that I discovered pretty early on that I did not pick up the first instance of this character. So the starting point for me was in the 1994 run. This character actually was first revealed in 1984. So I'm missing some stuff, and it was it's an interesting read, but I definitely want to start at the beginning. So Arno Stark is a first cousin once removed of Tony Stark, and he inherits Stark Industries in 2020. He's much more into industrial espionage than sort of the, philanthropic efforts that Tony Stark had to make things better in the world and to be part of a team that makes the world a better place. He's much more strategic in his use of the technology and also very smart and capable. So the perspective that Arno comes from is a little bit different than Tony, but you definitely see the family ego carrying through with this character. So again, I highly recommend you guys pick up the books. I'm still working on reading them, but I think that this was a really good choice for an exclusive because he has such a unique look and it's such a niche character. Although he does continue on into the future and into more current and readily available comics. So check him out. But let's now get into the figure. When I saw this figure in the box and when I started to see the photographs of him, I did not anticipate liking him at all. There are some strange things, the cogs, which are functional, I'm learning, but just look a little bit strange. I just didn't know. I just didn't know that this was going to be the figure for me. You guys, before I even get started now on all of the details, I'm going to tell you, I think that I may have found my Iron Man figure. This figure is so much fun. I've had such an incredible time with it. His articulation is amazing. Let's just look at it. So starting at the top, if you look at Arno's mask, and this is in the comics as well, you can see his eyes, which I think is such an awesome detail, and you can see his teeth behind these chompers that he's got here. I think it's really cool. It's a really cool look, and yeah, they capture it really well. It's just like this in the comics. So the facial sculpt is perfect. Everything about his mask is perfect. And the fact that you can see him behind his mask is really great. Even his teeth. He's always sort of gritting his teeth. And that shows up really, really well here. So the suit itself is really more of a series of overlays. So we've got his shoulder cogs. We've got his utility belt, and then everything else is basically a bodysuit. But what strikes me the most about this guy, guys, is the thing that has bothered me in the past is the look of the overall paint of this. So this is not paintwork. This is actually molded into gold and red plastic, but it's a different plastic than I've got on my other figures. And I'm sort of looking at them out of the corner of my eye now. And this dynamic sort of metallic yellowy gold as opposed to the bronzy gold is really striking. It looks so good. And while the red is still the, the sort of pearlescent marbleized red plastic that we've seen in the past, it's darker and, they relied less on the pattern and more on density of color, and it works flawlessly. The look of the paintwork on my Iron Man figures has been my #1 complaint, and that is completely resolved with this figure. He looks bright, he looks metallic, he looks complete. The costume is perfect to the comic books. Everything about him is absolutely fantastic color-wise, which I've had an issue with from the very beginning. So I cannot really say enough about how pleased I am with the way that the paintwork and the molding on this figure looks. So when we get into the points of articulation, we're going to take a really close look at his accessories in just a second. His head moves all the way around 360 degrees with ease, but we have a really nice upward look. He can look right up at the sky, which is awesome. And it looks good from the back. And he can look all the way down to his feet. So we have an excellent range of motion with this one. And I've been having some issues with that with the last series that I did. So to have that back again, having a full range of motion back and forward and all the way around is great for me. We have a great, easy lateral lift in his shoulders. We don't have butterfly joints on this guy. I'm gonna keep those on my radar because I missed them almost on the Ghostbusters Plasma series. We've got a 360 degree turn here in the bicep. Double jointed elbows that are a little bit incomplete just because of the way that his glove, this portion of his glove here hits his bicep. So with this sort of widening of the glove, it bumps into his bicep and we don't get as full of a turn or a bend as I would normally like. So that's a little bit hindered. And then I've got his blast hands, which there is a blast effect. This is the typical one that we normally see in orange. So this is the blast effect that comes for his hands. We've got 2 of these, and those are the hands that I have on now because I want to show you how those look. And they turn 360 degrees. They're really easy to take on and off. They're just a simple peg like this. And he comes also with fist hands that we can see are very easy to snap in and turn 360 degrees. So he has movement in his wrists forward and back on the fists, but on the blast hands, they're just open and there is no movement on the wrist. So they just sit with his hands clawed down, obviously, for the blast. So in his chest, we have the usual movement right here. It does not go back as far as, well, maybe it does. I guess it does. It doesn't feel like it goes back as far. I think because it doesn't click through. So it just smoothly moves back and you can stop really anywhere in between, and he bends forward. We have a 360 degree turn in his waist. We're going to probably run into a little bit of hindrance, not too much, but right here with his utility belt, he's got his saw blade here and like a fan blade, and they move, but they do sort of like block movement on his leg. I think what's really blocking this sort of lateral leg motion though is his actual bodysuit is is hard, and he has a very short rise in the hip of his bodysuit. So that's kind of disappointing, but we don't really need a full split from Iron Man the way that we would from Spider-Man, so it works. We've got a turn here, 360 degrees in the thigh. We've got double jointed knees that work perfectly. Again, we're running into a little bit of hindrance because of that top cuff on the boot, the same as the gloves, but it works pretty well overall. We do not have that weird turn in the boot that I hate, and then we have a 360 degree turn in the ankle, a full forward bend, and a full backward bend. And since he sort of like jets into the sky, I always feel like it's nice for his toes to point down all the way. So the points of articulation on this figure are great. Again, the look of the plastic, the molded plastic, is better than any I have ever seen on an Iron Man figure, and the face is so awesome and expressive, being able to see his eyes and mouth. The accessories that he comes with besides his blasters, which I will put on because I want to demonstrate for you guys what he looks like when he's fully accessorized, also include these cones of flame that sort of attach to his feet. So here are the pegs, and these just clip in like this. Now I want to mention a Facebook friend who helped me out on this, because I went ahead and photographed him. Here's what that looks like. I went ahead and photographed him just before I did this video, just to play with him a little bit. And he comes with these additional blast accessories that are stands that you poke his little flames into. So I had them set up sort of with this curl on the back like this. And, you know, you sort of mess with them and figure out a way to get them to stand. And with that on both feet, he was able to stand. But Josh Basinger on Facebook pointed out to me that they actually interlock like this. So they come apart and go together to stabilize the base. So when you put those flame cones in there, you have a secure base for him to actually stand on. And then this is what he looks like when it's all assembled together, which is so impressive to me. I think this looks so incredible. And I took a photograph. It's up on my Instagram at YourAnnoyingFriendCar _ between each word. Go check it out. It was a really quick shot, but I think it turned out so good. And that was before knowing about the interlocking. Thank you so much, Josh, for telling me about this. Now that I know that, this is how he will display on my shelf. I think this is such an impressive look and such an easy display. It looks so good. I honestly can't say enough. I cannot believe how much I love this figure in comparison to what I anticipated. Thinking that it was just like sort of a weird one-off, like alternate universe sort of Iron Man, and I wasn't going to care about the character. The character is really good and interesting as I'm reading it. I like the character, but the figure itself is what I was looking for, and I almost feel like I can stop my search for a good Iron Man for my collection. I'm not going to, because I want to collect them all, but this one satisfies all of my complaints from the past. So the question is, how easily are people able to find these at Walgreens now? Well, since I found mine, I've popped in every day, basically over the week, and checked all of the Walgreens that I pass, and I haven't seen another one. So it seems like we're going through the cycle that they normally go through, which is maybe one will hit the shelf, that one will go, and then what I understand from Walgreens is that the way that whether they have exclusives or not, they don't distinguish in store, meaning that their staff and employees don't know that this is an exclusive Walgreens item. This one did not have a sticker on it that said Walgreens exclusive, by the way. So they don't know that this is a Walgreens exclusive item. So they stock their shelves on a first in, first out basis. So which is why, for instance, there are a bunch of Namors right now at my local Walgreens, the one closest to my house, that have been there for over a year. So those always stay there. And then if somebody buys one, they'll go back to their tote, pull up one Marvel Legends, whatever it happens to be, and stick it on the shelf. That's why that store still has never seen a Stepford Cuckoo, and it'll probably be a while before they see one of these guys. So I'm not sure if there's anything that any of us can do to affect that, it would be really nice for them to start to maybe give a little bit of training to the staff so they understand that these are really like special figures that can only be purchased at Walgreens, and it stinks to wait a year for them. But it looks like they're kind of going to stick to their systems. And in light of the pandemic, places like Walgreens have much more important things to worry about right now than action figures, and I'm 100% aware of that. So it seems like these will probably be rolling out the way that we normally see Walgreens exclusives roll out, which is really slowly. But I highly recommend you guys all keep your eyes open for them because it is worth it. This is one of my best figures, I think, overall, with the accessories being as functional and awesome looking as they are. And in my search for a good 112 Iron Man, I think that I might have found him with this guy here. So Arno Stark might be my #1 Iron Man. Out of nowhere, I never would have anticipated it. I'm gonna keep looking, but let me know what you guys think. If you love this figure, let me know. If you think he's one off, let me know. I'm gonna keep searching. If you have recommendations, tell me what they are, and I will pick one up and review it. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I'm glad to be back on Marvel Legends again, and better late than never, I finally got my Age of Apocalypse figures on the way. They have shipped, thank goodness. So I will be doing those as soon as they come in, even though a lot of you have already seen them. I'm sure I'll have thoughts that are different than everybody else's. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I will be back again with another one soon. Have a good day, and I will see you soon. Bye, friends.